Hi everyone, I'm live in Astoria, Queens, and we're going to be visiting some Goodfellas sites today from Astoria. So I'm going to give everyone a few minutes to join. And right now we're standing at one of the houses from earlier in the movie. And then down here, there's another house we're going to visit. So again, I'm going to give everyone a few minutes to join. And we're live here in Astoria, Queens. And just to give you an idea of where we're at, I'm going to flip this now. Okay, so flipping this, and on the other side of this street is 31st Street where the NW line runs, and then behind me is the Grand Central Parkway, basically all the way out to Flushing and Long Island. So for the rest of this tour, we're going to be walking along 24th Avenue, which is right down the street. And we're going to cross over to Astoria Boulevard. So just giving everyone a few minutes to join, and then we're going to start at Paulie's house from the movie. And this is, just so you know, right here, this street right here was actually used to duplicate Pine Street in East New York, Brooklyn. So some of the shots you've seen may have been of this actual street right here. And then this is actually a dead end up here. So you're going to see down here that they would have been shooting from the other direction. And then towards here, which up here is Ditmars Boulevard, which is the end of the NW line. So yeah, let me know where you're joining from, and we're going to get started soon. So right now, right here, I'm going to start. So this right here was Paulie's house. If you remember, very early in the movie where he's introducing the character Paulie. This place right here, Joy is joining us. Where are you joining us from, Joy? This house right here, up those steps is where Tootie and Henry would have walked. Hello from South Ozone Park. Hi, Margaret. So we're starting at Paulie's house from the beginning of the movie. And up these steps is where Tootie and Henry, young Henry, would have walked in the rain, because Paulie didn't like phones. They set up a telephone booth on this street, which had to look like it was the 1950s. So anyway, this is where Paulie would have opened the door. You could tell by the red brick in the background here. So this is where they would have said, you got to, you know, whatever coin it was, I'm sorry, I forgot right now, but they would have walked out here. And then we're going to continue down. I have a picture of that place, which I'm going to post later on. So now we're walking south on 32nd Street. So when you come up here to 24th, Astoria Boulevard, which, not Astoria Boulevard, but 31st Street is right on the other side of here. And some of the places that I can't show you, okay, Joy, sound good, thank you. Some of the places that I can't show you because they've been destroyed were under here. That elevated train track was actually used in the movie. And you would have seen the post office was there, the pizza place. There was one other thing. So, and right now there was a parking lot. So right here, 32nd Street and 24th Avenue, right here, was, this supermarket was not here when the movie was made. It was 31 years ago at this point. Joy, real quick, I'm gonna show you a place to eat. Before we go to the next stop, I'm gonna show you a place to eat, because I know you're asking. Nice picture on live, good phone. Yeah, so I actually got an iPhone 12 Plus or whatever, I forget what it's actually called, but it has a much longer battery because the battery life was becoming a real issue when I was trying. Rita, hello from DC. Rita, so far you just missed Paulie's house, but we're gonna get to the Boyhood Home. So Joy's asking where to eat. This is a heavily Greek neighborhood. So right here is Elias Fish Corner. I could tell you I've eaten here, and then right down here, these were the elevated train tracks that were used in the movie. So here's a good fish place, and on down about a block or two is a Greek store, Titan Foods. So it's about 2 blocks that way, and they have a parking lot, which is very rare in New York. You missed DC. So I'd like to know from everyone, how recently did you watch the movie? Because when I visit these locations, even though I've been doing the tour for almost 3 years now, I've been doing a ton of tours and all that. When I get ready to visit a place that I just discovered, I still end up having to watch the movie and, you know, say, hey, is that really it? Okay, yeah, so this is a popular neighborhood. Time Out actually voted Astoria the 8th coolest neighborhood in the world, so that really says something. So next we're gonna go to the Boyhood Home. And I've met the owner of this place. He's very friendly. And hi, Shane from India. Thank you for joining us. I believe you're from Mumbai, right? Okay, so this is the Boyhood Home. In real life, it was on Pine Street in Brooklyn. But here it is, 32nd Street in Astoria, Queens. This looks like a very quiet street, but where we just were, 31st Street, is anything but quiet. So right here is where it was. The owner knows that a lot of people come here and take pictures. So I've been one of those people. And right now, so we saw the Boyhood Home, and then Paulie's is basically on the other side of 24th, which I'll be posting a picture of it later. So Shane, yeah, you should definitely watch it. Some of the people that are joining have done my tour, so they may have a little bit of a heads up on you. But the thing is, these places I want to mention, the places we're visiting today are not included in the tour at all. So I would have to do like a version B or something of the tour in order to actually include all of these places. So just to give you an idea where we're going, we're taking 24th Avenue and the street numbers are going to keep getting higher. So 33rd, and we're going to eventually meet up with Astoria Boulevard. And then from there, we're going to actually go to the diner where they hijacked their first truck. So it's actually, I believe, called the Jackson Hole Airline Diner. And that's the street we're going to meet up with right there, which is Astoria Boulevard. And I believe that's also the Grand Central Parkway down there. So once you get off the main drag, Astoria is a pretty residential neighborhood. You know, you got Ditmars, you got 31st Street, you got Broadway. But besides that, this is a pretty nice residential area to live in. I would definitely consider moving here someday. You could have, what grocery nearby? Okay, Joy, I mentioned Titan Foods earlier, which has a parking lot. We're up by Ditmars Boulevard, which is the last NW stop. Astoria Boulevard is the next to last. And if you want to go to Titan Foods, you could go there. But also there's like a Mediterranean market near where I parked my car, which is in the Ditmars number 2 municipal lot. And just a little trick for people visiting New York. I do want to mention that parking is usually free from Saturday evenings to Monday mornings. So like I'm parked for free at one of the municipal lots. And I do this a lot on Sunday since I have a car here. As you can tell, we're going beyond Goodfellas here. We're giving some actual New York tips because I know at least Shane wants to visit someday. Okay, so Tina, you joined just in time because Steinway's coming up. And Steinway has the kind of Egyptian food that Astoria, I would say 31st Street and Ditmars Boulevard have Greek food. So we did not hit Steinway Street yet because we're working our way to Astoria Boulevard and we're actually heading to the diner next. So if you have questions you want to ask about the tour of the movie, now's a good time because the diner is not even technically located in Astoria, but it's not really close to anything, so I have no choice really but to walk. It's another place you could drive to if you want. Not really my kind of food, but there's definitely stuff from the movie, which I'm going to try to show you. So we're getting closer to Steinway. And again, I mentioned this is a very Greek neighborhood. There's a Greek flag up there. And hey, we have Teresa Marie. Where are you joining us from? And Tina, where are you joining us from? I said, we're on 24th Avenue. And I think I'm doing this right, where we're just going to continue until we meet up with Astoria Boulevard. And that's going to lead to the diner. So this is a pretty laid back area. And over there, those are the many city bikes that you see around. Okay, so yeah, I did the right thing. I'm coming up on a park here, and then this is going to end at Astoria Boulevard. So I'm going to walk. There's this little triangular park here. And I love this, used to live there. I now live in PA. Yes, so You were raised in Brooklyn. You live in Louisiana. Okay. I want to mention, we started on 32nd Street in Astoria. And in the movie, that actually was used to double for Pine Street in Brooklyn. So did you grow up anywhere near East New York, Pine Street, that area, Pitkin Avenue? If you did, I'd love to hear about it because we stopped there on the tour. Hello from Carlisle, Pennsylvania. What a great little town. I love Carlisle. Hi, Kelly. Okay, so Steinway is the next street, so it replaces 39th. You might get a little, hi Gina, where are you joining us from? So it might get a little loud here. And by the way, there's the Amtrak. You can see Amtrak running up there above the arch. So glad the rain stopped. Yeah, Mike, so we actually started this tour, this walking tour a few minutes ago, and we actually started it you know, at the place where Henry and Tootie were going to talk to Paulie, and it was raining. They had an umbrella. I do have an umbrella in the backpack, but I'm hoping not to use it. And okay, so Steinway Street. So we're still in Astoria, and if you turn right here on Steinway, you'll see a lot of Middle Eastern, North African type of markets, and you'll see some interesting Egyptian food as well. If Rita's still with us, I think I need to come and do this tour with you. Yes, so Avnish, you joined just in time. This is Steinway Street, and this is Astoria Boulevard. So I want to mention that Pennsylvania, Northeast. Okay, so you're not too far from New York. Right there is Astoria Boulevard North, Astoria Boulevard South. We're staying on the north side because we're going to the diner. But if you walk a few blocks down there, you're going to see some Egyptian restaurants. And I recommend Mambar. I haven't been there in 5 years. But Mambar, like I said, if Rita's still with us, she's probably been there. Right down there is where you see a lot of Egyptian stores and restaurants. Nicolette, we're touring your neighborhood. So we're at the corner of Steinway and Astoria Boulevard. Fun to walk virtually through Astoria. Yeah, it's getting a little loud here. Hopefully my new equipment is good. And here, Dubai Hookah Lounge. There's a lot of Middle Eastern, North African type of businesses and restaurants down that street there. You can see the mosque up there. So I highly recommend this, and you could take the R train to Steinway Street and walk north if you did. And also, you could take, if you want, you could take the NW to Astoria Boulevard. You could see how long of a walk it is because I just did it. But I'm getting ready to cross here, so I'm crossing Steinway. And Steinway pianos, the famous Steinway pianos, they're made like closer to the waterfront, not too far from here. Just a little fun fact. Does anybody play piano? And if so, has anybody played a Steinway? I know they're really top of the line, or at least they were. So, okay. And if you could see off in the distance, did you just pass a mural of mirror-faced bricks? Maybe I did. I might have missed that. Okay, so LaGuardia Airport. We're also very close to LaGuardia Airport. I could feel a little bit of rain. And just to give you an idea how close we are, there's a sign on the Grand Central Parkway for LaGuardia Airport. So we're gonna keep walking until we hit the diner. Just so you know, most people would not walk this. They would take a bus or drive since they have parking at the diner, which we're gonna try and go inside of. So whoever's joining us from Brooklyn, I'd like to know where you lived, because the early scenes in the movie happened in East New York, right at the end of the C line, Euclid Avenue to be more specific. And a little rain's coming. Hopefully it's not gonna mess this up too bad. I'm going under a bridge here. But, okay. So unfortunately I hear a lot of sirens. Not much I could do about that. And the rain is supposed to be done until about 5, 6 o'clock. And this is going to be a relatively quick tour, so I hope it'll hold out. Okay, this is one of the many self-storage type of places you see in New York. And then this is the other side of Astoria Boulevard. So does everybody remember the scene where they hijacked their first truck? Because that's where we're heading. It's like really the first scene with Henry as an adult, where he's in the inside of the parking lot of an Airline Diner. That's actually where we're heading. Audio is fine. Sirens aren't loud. That's great because they're very loud for me. Thank you, Michael. So yeah, this is, and I'm going to tell you a little secret about, well, you could do your own research here, but I'm just going to tell you, this diner would have actually been near JFK in real life, but in the movie, Astoria is a major place to film in New York. You got like Silver Cup Studios in Long Island City. You have Kaufman Astoria Studios. One of the coolest museums in all of New York is off Steinway Street, where we just were. It's called the Museum of the Moving Image, and I believe they're open. So, yeah, so that just gives you an idea. Like, I would say this is the heart of the film industry in New York, if you count the fact that, you know, they may not use these streets as much as they do like maybe Central Park, but you also have to consider that like this, you know, the studios are here where, you know, Saturday Night Live, Sesame Street, Orange is the New Black, all kind of things have been filmed in Kaufman Astoria Studios, and they continue in this day. Nicolette, favorite restaurant in Astoria? At the beginning of this, I pointed to Elias Fish Corner. I've also been to a place called, it's off the Broadway stop. I'm drawing a blank. It's like Cypriot, and it was, I think I ate there about 7 years ago, so I don't remember. But it was off the Broadway NW stop. I think back then it was the NQ. This is before the W ran along there. So again, here's a very residential part of Astoria. And the diner should be coming up soon. And here you go, I believe that's another Greek flag. So this is supposed to be the largest Greek population outside of Europe. And Nicolette, I want to mention, I mentioned this earlier when Joy asked, I enjoy actually going to the Greek stores and buying my own stuff and then taking it home and cooking it. Like, you know, that's what I do when I stop at Titan Foods, which I'm actually going to do at the end of this. So I want to ask, is Kelly still with us? I know she's probably a Frank Zappa fan, and I'm going to do just a little detour because here's Joe's Garage Bar and Grill, which I've never seen before, but that's a Frank Zappa, I believe it's a double album. So I'm just going to do a quick detour and then meet back up with Astoria Boulevard. But Joe's Garage, just like the Frank Zappa album. And then we're going to continue and we're going to go back onto Astoria Boulevard North until we get up to the diner. So this diner's pretty famous. Like a lot of places in New York, celebrities have been there, so they really try to play that up. And you have the obligatory pictures of the Goodfellas cast, Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci. I don't think they have the Sopranos there, which seems to be in every Italian restaurant to the point where it like gets repetitive and predictable. So I guess a taxi driver lives here. Yeah, Titan Foods. Can you make pasticcio for me? I cannot, but they actually sell it already made at Titan Foods. And again, I'm parked near a Mediterranean market, so I'm gonna actually try that place once this walking tour is over. So good album, yeah, Joe's Garage. I know it's available on Amazon Prime if you just wanted to give it a listen. It is kind of long, like a lot of his stuff. Yeah, I'm a Zappaphile. Thank you, Brian. Joe's Garage. So Kelly, have you seen the bust of Frank Zappa's head in Baltimore at one of the library branches? You could actually see there's a bust of his head outside. It's not in the center or near Inner Harbor or anything, but I believe it's probably not far from Greektown, actually. Baltimore has an official Greektown, and I believe that's where that Zappa bust is. So we're getting closer. We're going to see more LaGuardia signs. And here we're coming up on 47th Street. So we've walked 15 blocks already. They're short blocks, but like for me, I'm probably going to take a bus back rather than try to walk this again. So in Manhattan, you have like pretty good subway service, but in the outer boroughs, it's hard to get from like, you know, like in Brooklyn and Queens, it could be easier to get like north-south, but usually east and west could be more difficult. Manhattan is generally the easiest borough to get around with the subway. So, okay, so you've been there. Yes, so that's good because I was just in Baltimore earlier this month working on a story, about how to use the metro to get around. And you notice that there's a lot of things people ignore if it's not Inner Harbor or Little Italy or Fells Point or that area. So, like just for example, I stayed at Mount Vernon, which I'd pretty much never heard of before besides the Washington Monument. I'll DM you a photo when I find one. Yes, Kelly, I have one as well, so I'd like to see yours. So feel free to do that after this tour. Wow, cool. Okay, so here we are. This is 48th Street, and I believe we're getting closer. And again, they never, the people in Goodfellas that the movie's based on, they never robbed LaGuardia that I know of. They always robbed JFK because they grew up in East New York and then moved to Ozone Park, and that was really their area. So I really doubt that they did it here. It's just a matter of what's practical when you're trying to film. So if you have any questions about the movie, we're almost there. So it's going to be our last stop. So we're getting close. And by the way, you see here Q19, the Q19 bus. Q stands for Queens. Like B would be a Brooklyn bus, BX would be a Bronx bus, M would be a Manhattan bus. I've never used one in Staten Island, so I'm not sure how they handle that, but yeah, that's what when these buses have a letter in front of them. Now, we know we're getting close because there's a cemetery. That's St. Michael's Cemetery, and when we're basically getting close to the border between Brooklyn and Queens, and the border with Brooklyn and Queens has so many cemeteries. And this is St. Michael's, and I want to mention that Paulie's actually buried in St. John's, so if you could get his real name, there's a pretty big headstone with his real name. In the movie Goodfellas, most of the names were not the ones in real life. In most cases where people are being portrayed in a negative way like that, they're generally not, the surviving family does not want them using the names of the actual people. So if, like Scorsese cannot get somebody to sign a release form, they just end up changing the name. So Henry Hill's name was the same because he's the main, star of the movie and he wrote the book. But in general, they either mixed two characters together, or what they ended up doing was just changing a name. So there are people that weren't portrayed at all, but they kind of had a character that would, I think the Frankie Carbone character was meant to be two different people combined, because they can't, if they're going to introduce too many characters, it could get confusing. It's a longer movie, but still, they wanted the movie to focus on, a handful of people, as opposed to trying to introduce everyone that would have been there in real life. So you're going to see, here's a tractor trailer, and the diner's coming up here. So I believe this has pretty much remained unchanged. So here, Jackson Hole. This place is known for Tex-Mex food. I think it's like a pretty popular burger joint. But in my opinion, I think this is the kind of place maybe if you're returning a rental car and need to get something to eat on the way to the airport, you might come here. I don't know that a lot of people from Manhattan, make the journey all the way here just to have this. Phil, yeah, so he was originally called Jimmy Conway. That's because I believe he was adopted and ended up changing names depending on who adopted him. So you can see right here, this place is pretty crowded. Right here, we're just going to walk up to the entrance, and you can see there are people inside. So Phil's joining us from England. He's actually done my tour. There's nobody sitting outside here today because it's so wet out. But here's like a cowboy, Jackson Hole. And here's the sign you would have seen in the movie. So this is the sign that you would have seen in the actual movie. So somebody's waving to me. I wonder if she's a Goodfellas fan. So here we go. I'm trying to get a shot that actually includes both. Jackson Hole Airline Diner. So we're gonna walk over here. And then I just want to show you, they would have been parked around here. Nicolette Orlemans, experiencing sound issues on my end, unable to hear, but cool, glad to have subtitles. Okay, so all right here I am on the corner of 70th and Astoria Boulevard. And there's a cop shot sign in the background. But this is where they would have filmed. The truck they stole would have been in this little corner. And I'd like to know, yes, watched a documentary on the real Jimmy on Reels. Okay, I've never watched Reels, but I'll have to check that out. So yeah, this is the Airline Diner on this cloudy day. And you could see the parking lot's full. Free parking is a rarity in New York, so people would take advantage of it for that reason. Tony Bond says great hamburgers there. Yeah, I believe that's what this is known for. So in real life, or not in real life, but in the movie, they would have walked to this parking lot. Diners are 100% Love Good Diner. Astoria has a few. So I'm gonna try to take us inside because the rain's coming down and we don't need rain right now. But they would have stole the truck from that little corner right there. So I'm trying to get underground. So, hi. I'm actually doing a Facebook Live about Goodfellas. Could I come in and just show a few? I'm doing a Facebook Live about the movie Goodfellas. Can I just come in and show some of the pictures? Okay, thank you. So he was nice enough to let us in. Okay, so this is actually right here. Here's the Goodfellas stuff. Right here. So there you go. You see with the Airline Diner in the background, right there.
That's the original Henry Hill right there.
Okay.
See right there.
Thank you. And so this is actually the original Henry Hill right here. He doesn't look too bad given his substance abuse issues he's had. And then as I mentioned, it's not just gangsters. Here is the cargo of the trucks was designer dressed as furs. Yeah, usually it was. Probably TVs as well. I want to show you, that's Bill Clinton, probably after he was in the White House. That's Jerry Seinfeld, I think. And then these pictures are a little bit hard to make out. Okay, there's John McCain and maybe Hillary Clinton. I'm not 100% sure, but check this out. This has been out of order since 1957, so basically out of order since, you know, these people were starting their robberies. So this is a Coke machine. And I just want to show you one more time. Here's some more filming that was done here. And then there's also the Goodfellas Diner in Maspeth, a little east of here, but that burned down. And now it's more or less a parking lot. So just real quick, this is it. This is the diner. And again, you could easily, this is 70th and Astoria Boulevard. And the rain has died down a little bit. So if anybody has any other questions, now would be a good time to ask. So real quick, I just want to get a shot of myself. Here we go. Here's a shot for myself of the actual diner. And I will be uploading this to YouTube. And it should be on Facebook right away. So thank you everyone for tuning in. And I'm going to say goodbye. And again, we are at the Airline Diner in Astoria, Queens. Maybe it's East Elmhurst, depending on what shows up. Kenny, always thought Ray Liotta looked extremely cool in his shark skin suit at the beginning and then very whacked out at the end. Yeah, well, that's what drugs will do to you. So there's no surprise in that. And the drug use continued probably up until his later years. So I just want to mention one other thing. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/BrianMayRome. And I'm planning to go live from the Bronx this Saturday. So I'm trying to finalize the details on that. Phil, I hope to see you again. I hope everything's okay back in England, and I hope to see you in New York again soon. And thank you everyone else who tuned in. And this is going to be up on YouTube and Facebook soon. Thank you.